I'm Dr. J.B. Dias. I'm a professional bassist, and I'm also the Vice President for Education and Curriculum Development here at the Herbie Hancock Institute of Jazz at UCLA in Los Angeles. And today we're going to talk about walking bass lines. More precisely, how to teach walking bass lines to relatively beginning bass students. In other words, they can play the bass, they might have some rock and roll chops, but they really don't know how to walk changes, meaning how to look at chord symbols and how to create a bass line on the spur of the moment. And that's one of the most important elements of being a jazz bass player is being able to walk through chords. You know, I taught at the Jamie Aebersold camp for so many years, and we would come in and audition the bass players. And I would say, okay, how old are you? They'd say 17. And how long you've been playing the bass? Well, 4 years. I'm a senior. I've been playing in my high school jazz band for 3 years. And I'll say, okay, why don't you walk a blues for me? And they'll say, what's that? What do you mean walk a blues? You know, walk a blues chorus. Well, they don't know what they mean. So I give the chord symbols. I give them a sheet of chord symbols. Walk, they don't know what to do. And so here they've been playing in jazz band 3 days a week for 3 years, and they don't know how to walk a blues because what so many band directors are doing, they're not teaching jazz, they're teaching concert band with a swing beat. In other words, the second alto player doesn't know how to improvise, they just know how to read their note. So that's what we're going to talk about today, how to play jazz on the bass. And that means, first and foremost, learning how to walk bass lines. Now, we're going to do it on electric bass today. And I suggest that even if you have, intermediate to advanced acoustic bass players, that they start out walking on electric bass because it's very easy, or a lot easier, I should say, to see how everything works. Also, by starting on electric bass, they play everything in tune because it's a fretted bass. You tune up with the tuner first, and then everything's in tune. And then when they go to play the same lines on their upright, their tolerance for being out of tune will be smaller. You don't want to have a lot of tolerance for being out of tune. I've had students that have started on upright bass or started on cello, and they don't play nearly as in tune as those that started on electric bass and then went to upright bass. So the very first thing, let me share the screen with you. The very first thing you want to make sure your students do is make sure they know the name of the notes. Now, they should know them at least up to the 12th fret. The 12th fret, and that's where the double dot is on the bass. Now, I've had students that have played for 3 or 4 years, and they still don't know the notes that are outside this, first or second position here. So what I suggest you do is you tell your students that they need to learn 4 notes a day, so they would be able to learn this string in 3 days, 4, 8, 12, up to the 12th fret, and then this string, the A string, in 3 days, 4, 8, 12, 3 frets, 4 frets a day, and then the D string, 4 frets a day, and the G string, 4 frets a day. So all you have to do is, once you explain that the bass is all in half steps, and every note has got a sharp, except there is no B sharp and there is no E sharp. So B will go right to C, and E will go right to F. And since every sharp has got a flat name, like F sharp, one up from F is F sharp. It's also called G flat because it's one down from G. So the very first day they would just go E, F, F sharp, or G flat, G, F sharp or G flat, G, F, E. Just mix them up, those 4 frets. Then the next 4, then the next 4, and then have them always review as they're learning their new. So they learn the first 4 frets the first day, then the next day they review those 4 frets and do the next 4. So now they have 8 frets on that string. and then finally 12 frets on that string on the third day. But before you have them learn that last 4 frets, make sure they review the first 4 frets and the second 4 frets. So as you're learning new, you have to constantly remind them to review. Every time you learn something new, you review everything. So that's step number 1. Make sure they know the neck. Now, you can go ahead and proceed even though they haven't learned the whole neck yet. So that's sometimes a work in progress. It should just take a couple of weeks. Sometimes it takes a couple of months. You've got to keep, what note is this? What note? G, A, C, A flat, B. You got to check and make sure that they know those notes automatically, just like you can on the piano, or just like a saxophone player knows where the notes are. So the next step is to make sure you know your major scale. Now, here's the major scale. We're just going to start off in C, and I have the fingering here. The fingering is just 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. Now, look at the bass. I'm going to do that very slowly. 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. And have them count the numbers so they know where the numbers are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And for 8, they can say 1 again, or they can say root. So root, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root. Back down. Root, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now the good news is that on the bass, let me do that so you can see it a little better. Put it down a little bit. Here it is. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The good news is that on electric bass, they can play that same pattern and play any major scale. So that's C. So if they bring it up to the 4th fret, it's D flat, and it's the same fingering and the same numbers. So now they can play a D flat scale. And then a D scale, same exact fingering. Notice that I'm just moving up my thumb. Just moving up my thumb. Here's E flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, after they learn their major scale, and by the way, you can start on any string. I do the same thing. Here's an A scale, starting on the E string. Same fingering, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, let's go back to C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, you want to have them learn the 3 most common chords. Major 7th, dominant 7th, and minor 7th. And a major 7th is just the 1, 3, 5, and 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So what I have my students do is I just call out numbers. I'll say 1, 3, 1, 5. Sometimes they'll have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to find it. But so go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now just go 1, 5. Now 3, 1, 5, 7. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, the 7 is just a half step lower than the root. Half step is 1 fret on the bass. So this is the 7. This would be the flat 7. 1, 7, flat 7. 6, 5, flat 5, 4, 3, 2, flat 2, 1, 7, 1. Remember, the 7 is always a half step lower than the root. So we have them play a major 7 arpeggio. 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 7, 5, 3, 1. Now, the dominant 7th chord would be 1, 3, 5, and flat 7. So 1, 3, 5. Here's the regular 7. So the flat 7 is there. 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, flat 7, 5, 3, 1. And then minor, you just lower the third. So there's the major third, so the minor third would be 1 fret lower. So rather than C, E, it's C, E flat. But notice this, I can play the E flat here, or if they've learned their neck, I can play it here. Notice they're the same note. So I'm just going to go 1, flat 3, 5 is still in the same place, but now with a different finger because I've moved up. Rather than starting with my second finger, I'm starting with my first finger so that I can play that minor third there, 5th, flat 7. Notice the flat 7 is 2 frets lower than the root. Remember the major 7 was 1/2 step lower, 1 fret lower, so the flat 7 is a whole step lower, or 2 frets. Remember, a whole step is 2 frets, a half step is 1 fret, and I have 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, root, and that's a minor 7th chord. So here's the review. Major 7th, 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 7, 5, 3, 1. Dominant 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, flat 7, 5, 3, 1. Minor, when I'm starting minor, I'm going to start with my first finger so I don't have to shift. I can just do it all right here. 1, minor third, 5th, flat 7, root, flat 7, 5th, minor third, or flat third, 1. Now, each of those chords has got a scale that goes with it. Well, what goes with a major 7th chord? A major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what goes with a dominant chord? Well, if I flat the 7 for the dominant 7th chord, all I have to do is flat the 7 for the scale. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7 root. And that goes with a dominant 7th chord, and that's called Mixolydian. And all these terms that I'm talking about, everything I'm saying today will be on the handout, which you're going to be able to easily download. Everything that I show you on the screen, you're going to be able to download and print out a hard copy if you want, or just keep it on your computer as a PDF if you want. So for minor, remember we had root, minor third, 5th, flat 7 root. So if I lowered the minor third, if I lowered the third for the minor chord, and I lowered the 7th for the minor chord, then I do the same thing for the scale. So 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, root. So that's called Dorian. So here's C major. Here's C Mixolydian. Notice the flat 7 right here. And here's Dorian. Notice the flat 3 there and the flat 7 there. So those are the 3 scales they need. So that's the next step. They learn the neck, they learn the major scale, then they learn the 3 arpeggios, major 7th, dominant 7th, minor 7th, and the scales that go with them. Major scale goes with a major 7th chord, Mixolydian scale goes with a dominant 7th chord, and a Dorian scale goes with a minor 7th chord. Keep that in mind. Now, the next thing I want them to do is memorize the circle of fourths. Now, some people call it the circle of fifths because if you go down a fifth from C is F, down a fifth from F is B flat. But it's easier to think going up a fourth. So what's the 4th note of a C scale? C. So you got C, D, E, F. And what's the 4th note of an F scale? F, G, A, B flat, and the 4th note of a B flat scale, B flat, C, D, E flat, and the 4th note of an E flat scale, E flat, F, G, A flat. So that's why it's called the cycle of fourths. And that's the most common progression, not just in jazz, but in all of Western music, classical music, pop music, rock, funk, everything. So you want to have them memorize that so they can do it this fast. C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, C. Now I'm going to show you how to do that so they can get it that fast. Everybody say CF. CF. Now, spell the word bead. You know bead, like beads? bead, B-E-A-D. So say CF and then spell the word bead, B-E-A-D. But after each letter of the word bead, say the word flat. So CF and then B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat. CF, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat. Now I'll say G, I'm done with the flats. G, I'm done with the flats. But leave out all the middle words. G, I'm done with the flat. G, I'm done with the flat. G flat, G flat. So CF, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat. Now, after they do the G flat, spell the word bead again as fast as you can, but without the flats. So B-E-A-D. So you have CF, because it starts with CF, then bead with the flats, B flat, B flat, A flat, D flat, G, I'm done with the flats, then B-E-A-D. Now you just have to finish it. G, I'm done already, let's go back to C. G, I'm done already, let's go back to C. Leave out all the middle words. G, I'm done already, let's go back to C. G, C, G, C, G, C. So CF, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B-E-A-D, G, C. Now, once they can do that, have them play it on the bass, and this is what you can show your students, that whenever you go around the cycle, you can go straight across, like here's C, so I can go C, F, B flat, E flat, go straight across. It's all, no matter where you are, like A, D, G, C, right around the circle, or you can go 2 frets lower, and go down 2 frets and 1 string lower. And when I say lower, I'm talking about lower in pitch. It's actually higher in the air. So notice C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, C. And they should be able to play that all over the neck once they get that pattern going. So they can either go straight across like this, C, F, B flat, E flat, or mix them up like C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, C. Now, of course, you don't want to have them do it that fast. Like this, C. So I say put the metronome at 40 on 2 and 4, metronome at 40, 2 and 4, and see if they can just do it at this tempo as half notes. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat. Now spell the word bead. B, E, A, D, G, starting over, C, F, spell the word bead, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, C. Now, once they know that, once they can do that, the next thing to do is to teach them what we call cycle patterns or cycle licks. That means walking patterns that go around the cycle, like going from C to F, or going from F to B flat, or B flat to E flat, or E flat to A flat, or A flat to D flat, and so forth. Cycle pattern number 1 is just go down the scale. So notice C minor, just going down the scale. C minor, F7. C minor, F7. And of course, if it's a C minor chord, you got to use a flat 7. But if it's a C major chord, and by the way, if there's no symbol, it means major, then it's a regular 7. So here's C minor 7th going to F7. And here's C major 7th going to F7. So you always have to be sure of what the 3rd and 7th are, but you know that from doing your arpeggios. If it's a major chord, it's a regular 7. If it's a dominant 7th chord or a minor 7th chord, it's a flat 7. And here's another cool thing. Have the 3rd note you play when you're going down the scale, will automatically be the third of the next chord. What's the third of F? A. See? Here's F, G, A. That's the third. And what's the third note you play when going down the scale? A. It always works out. So if you're going to F minor, well, what's the third of F major? A. What's the third of F minor? A flat. Notice if you're going from C minor to F minor, you have to play A flat on the way down. A flat. Make sure you can see that. So I'm on C, there's the A flat, and notice now that F sounds minor. If I play it like this, that F sounds major, but if I play it like this, the F sounds minor. So that's how you can see these trios like saxophone, drums, and bass that don't have a piano player, but you can still tell what the chords are because the bass player is outlining it so clear. So that's lick number 1 down the scale. And we're just going to go C minor to F7. C minor, C minor to F7. Notice, here's my F arpeggio, 1, 3, 5. Notice there's the third, 1, 3. And notice when I go down the scale, there's that third, F7. Okay, lick number 2 is 1, 3, 5 chromatic. 1, 3, 5 chromatic. Chromatic just means by half step. So we have 1, and because it's minor, minor third, 5, chromatic, F7. So C minor, F7. Now, if it's C major, I'm not going to play a minor third, I'm going to play a major third. So here's C major to F7. C major, F7. C minor to F7. C minor. Notice the minor third. F7. That's lick number 2. Now, here's a cool thing you can do. This is what a lot of great bass players do, is they put in what we call a tritone skip. Now, a tritone is the same thing as a flat 5. That's just the word we say, tritone. I'll tell you where the word comes from. Tri means 3, tone means whole step. So 3 whole steps, 1 whole step, 2 whole steps, 3 whole steps is a tritone. And on the bass, you can just do it. It's always just diagonal across like this. So what you can do is go 1, 3, 5. See how I did that tritone skip? 1, flat 3, 5, tritone, boo-doo. Because when you hear bass players play, you always hear da-doom, ding, ding, ka-doom, ding, ka-doom, ding, ding, ka-doom. Oftentimes, that's a tritone skip they're doing. So rather than just going 1, 3, 5, chromatic, F, you go 1, 3, 5, skip, F. It just sounds hipper. Boom, doo, dee, ba-doo, doo. So here is C minor, flat 3, 5, chromatic, F. And we're calling that lick 2. Lick number 2, or pattern number 2, is 1, 3, 5 chromatic. 1, minor third, because I said C minor, F7. The tritone skip, that's a tritone. A tritone is a flat 5. Some people say tomato, some say tomato. Some say tritone, some say flat 5. Means the same thing. So, right before you do the chromatic, put the root in again. 1, 3, 5, ba-doo-doo. So slowly it's fast, it's sounds like jazz. So when we do lick 2, let's put in that flat 5, if your students have the chops to do it. If not, the 1, 3, 5 chromatic, just straight, sounds great. So lick 1 is down the scale. So C minor, F7. Lick 2 is 1, 3, 5 chromatic, C minor, F7. And notice how I'm saying aloud the chords. I suggest your students do that. That way you know they're thinking them. They're not just doing it by rote. So they're going to say C minor, F7. They're going to say C minor, F7. That's lick number 2, or pattern number 2. Pattern number 3 is whole, half, 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 meaning whole step, half step, half step, half step. Well, the good news on the bass, to go a whole step, all you have to do is have your 4-finger position right here, C, and then the whole step will be right there to the very next string. So C, D, just like going like this, C, D, but you don't have to shift. C, D, C, D. Now C, D, half step, half step, half step. Boy, is that easy, because your fingers do the walking. They just go right up. So C minor, F7. So let's review all 3 licks. Number 1, down the scale, C minor, F7. Lick number 2, 1, 3, 5 chromatic with the tritone skip, C minor, F7. And lick number 3, whole, half, 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 C minor, F7. Now, if you go around the circle, C minor, F7 to B flat, that's C minor, F7. What comes after F in the circle? Remember C, F, B flat. How many ways are there to walk C minor, F7, B flat with just those 3 licks? Well, there's 9 ways, because you can do lick 1 with lick 1, lick 1 with 2, lick 1 with 3, 2 and 1, 2 and 2, 2 and 3, or 3 and 1, 3 and 2, 3 and 3. Let me do all 9 ways. Remember, 1 is down the scale, 2 is 1, 3, 5 chromatic, 3 is whole, half, half, half. And all this is on the sheet, so you don't have to be taking notes. Everything that I'm saying is all written down. Okay, so we're going to go C minor, F7, B flat. And I suggest that your students do that first. Just say the name of the chords and play the roots like this. C minor, 2, 3, 4, F7, 2, 3, 4, B flat. Okay, let's get, so you can see this a little better. So C minor, F7, B flat. So lick 1 with lick 1, translate, down the scale, down the scale. C minor, F7, B flat. Lick 1 with lick 2. Remember, lick 2 is 1, 3, 5 chromatic. C minor, F7, B flat. Notice I put in the tritone skip. C minor, F7, B flat. Now, here's something else I want to bring up right now. On lick 2, remember it's 1, 3, 5, chromatic, B flat. You can either go up for the 3rd, or you can go down for the 3rd, which is very hip. So watch this. Here's F7 going down to the 3rd. So watch. Down the scale, lick 1, then lick 2, 1, 3, 5, chromatic, B flat. So you now have 2 ways to play lick 2, even though it's 1, 3, 5 chromatic, 1, 3, 5 chromatic. Notes are the same, just different octaves. But boy, it gives a nice different vibe. And then lick 1 with 3, remember lick 3 is whole, half, half, whole, half, half, half going up. So down the scale, C minor, F7, B flat. C minor, down the scale, that's 1, F7, whole, half, half, B flat. Let's start with lick 2 now. Let's do 2 and 1. 1, 3, 5 chromatic, down the scale. C minor, F7, B B flat. Lick 2 and 2, C minor, F7, B flat. Lick 2 and 2 again, going down for the second lick 2, C minor, F7, B flat. 2 and 3, C minor, F7, B flat. Let's do the 3 that begin with 3. 3 and 1. Remember, 3 is whole, half, half, half. 1 is down the scale. C minor, F7, B flat. 3 and 2. C minor, F7, B flat. 3 and 3. C minor. This is the easy one. F7, B flat. So you have 9 ways. Now, let's say that it goes C minor, F7, B flat to E flat is the next chord. By the way, those are the first 4 chords of Autumn Leaves. C minor, a very famous jazz tune, standard, Autumn Leaves. C minor, F7, B flat, E flat. Just using these 3 licks, how many ways are there to walk C minor, F7, B flat, E flat? Well, now you have 27. Now, if you paid attention in 7th grade when you were doing ordered pairs in math class and ordered triplets, you'd realize that if you have three chords and 3 licks, 3 times 3 times 3, you get 27. So that's lick 1 and 1 and 1, 1, 1 and 2, 1, 1 and 3, 2, 1 and 1, 2, 1 and 2, 2, 1 and 3, 3, 1 and 1, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 3, 3, 2 and 1, 3, 2 and 2, 3, 2 and 3, 3, 3 and 1, 3, 3 and 2, 3, 3 and 3. Those are all the ones that begin with 1. Those are the 9 licks that begin with 1. 9 licks that begin with 2, 2, 1 and 1, 2, 1 and 2, 2, 1 and 3, 2, 2 and 1, 2, 2 and 2, 2, 2 and 3, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and 2, 2, 3 and 3. And here's the 9 that begin, and by the way, these are all written down. This is just fun for me to be able to see if I can get through it. 3, 1 and 1, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 3, 3, 2 and 1, 3, 2 and 2, 3, 2 and 3, 3, 3 and 1, 3, 3 and 2, 3, 3 and 3. Now, I'm not going to do all 27 right now, but I will do a few. Let me do 1, 1 and 1. Down the scale, down the scale, down the scale. Don't forget the chords are C minor, F7, B flat, E flat. Down the scales, C minor, F7, uh-oh, B flat. What am I realizing? What am I realizing? I got no E flat. No E flat, the lowest note is E. So here's what you do when you get to the B flat. You just pop up the octave. B flat, just play the octave leap. Don't forget it's a major 7th because I didn't say B flat minor or B flat 7. I just said B flat. So C minor, F7, B flat major 7th. And notice how when I do that, I just pull that off. I don't attack it with the right hand. Just makes it, you could attack it, but it sounds hipper not to. Okay, so check this out. I'm going to share the screen again with you. And there's lick 3, whole, half, half, half. Here are the 9 combinations for C minor, F7, B flat. 1 and 1, 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 1, 2 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 1, 3 and 2, 3 and 3. We did all those. Now, what I suggest your students do is practice them in all keys. Now, once they do all 9, in this one key, this is the key of B flat. It's a 2, 5, 1 chord progression because in the key of B flat, this 2 is C. In the key of B flat, F is the 5th of the scale, and B flat is the 1. That's why it's called a 2, 5, 1, most common progression in jazz. and you can play it in all keys. The good news is that once you start on the right note, all the fingering is still the same. You just have to make sure you start in the right place. So if I play C minor F7 using 1 and 1 there, if I go F minor to B flat 7, it's the same thing, just starting in a different place. And have your students say the name of the chords. So here's where we left off. All 27 combinations of the 3 cycle patterns for C minor, F7, B flat, E flat. 1, 1 and 1, 1, 1 and 2, 1, 1 and 3. Let me do a few of those for you. I will start with 1, 1 and 1. C minor, F7, B flat, E flat. 1, 1 and 2. Don't forget 2 is 1, 3, 5 chromatic. C minor down the scale, F7 down the scale, and B flat. 1, 3, 5, E flat. 1, 1 and 3. C minor, F7, B flat. 3 is whole, half, half, half. 1, 2 and 1. C minor, F7, B flat, E flat. 1, 2 and 2. C minor, F7, B flat, E flat. 1, 2 and 2 again, going down for the second lick 2. C minor, F7, B flat, E flat. So what you want to have your students do is practice all 27 combinations. All 27 combinations. I'll put them on the screen again. There's all the 27 combinations. Let me pick one at random. How about 3, 2, 1 right here? 3, 2, 1. C minor, F7, B flat, E flat. They all sound great. They all blend together. And so think of walking bass line improvisation at this stage not as spontaneous composition, but spontaneous reorganization. Spontaneous reorganization. You're reorganizing the licks. And by the way, with the different octaves and going up for the third and down for the third for lick 2 and so forth, you now literally have hundreds of ways to do this with just these 3 licks. Okay, then of course you probably know what the next step is. All keys, all 27 ways. But remember, you did the first 3 chords, C minor, F7, B flat in all keys before you got to this, all 9 ways. So now it's easy just to add one more chord. So as long as you go step by step, each subsequent step, you don't have to do that much. Okay. Everybody cool? Let's move on. Now, besides just the regular minor 7th, besides regular minor 7th, or major 7th, minor, dominant 7th, and major 7th chords, we also have half diminished chords and altered dominant 7th chords. Now, all a half diminished chord means is a minor 7th chord with a flat 5th. So if we go back to the first page here, go back to the first page where we have the arpeggios, notice the half diminished is just 1, flat 3, flat 5, and flat 7. So here's C major, C dominant 7th, I lower the 7th, there's the flat 7th, minor, lower the 3rd and the 7th, and here's the half diminished, 1, flat 3, flat 5, flat 7. Now, when I say dominant 7 altered, and I'm not going to go into all that theory for right now, but this is what you need to know for dominant seventh altered. And that is that don't use a regular 9 or a regular 5. An altered dominant seventh chord has an altered fifth and an altered ninth. Now that might sound confusing, but I'll tell you the easy way to realize that. First of all, realize that the ninth is the same as the second. Because if I play a C major scale up to the ninth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you see the 9 is the same as the second. So when you see a dominant 7 altered chord, ALT, dominant 7 altered, don't play the regular 2, meaning the regular 9, but you can play a flat 2 or a sharp 2. Keep that in mind. The same thing for dominant 7 altered. When I say altered, it means you raise it a half step and you lower it a half step. So you alter the 9 means you play a flat 9 and a sharp 9, which is really the same as a flat second and a sharp second of that major scale. So rather than D, which would be the second of a C scale, D flat would be the flat 2 or flat 9, and D sharp would be the sharp 2 or sharp 9. Same thing for the fifth. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you see altered, avoid that fifth. You can play the flat 5 or you can play the sharp 5, but don't play the regular 5. So if you have altered, you're going to play root, flat 2, sharp 2, flat 5, sharp 5. And of course it's dominant 7, so you have the flat 7 as well. Okay, keep that in the back of your mind for now. So what we're now going to talk about are how you walk on chords that are either half diminished or dominant 7 altered. Sharing the screen again, and we'll go back to for pattern 1, and we'll play A half diminished, D7 altered. Now, A half diminished to D7 altered is just going around the circle. Again, these are cycle licks, but rather than just regular cycle patterns, they're now altered cycle patterns. So they're similar to what you just played, what I just showed you before, but they're altered slightly to better fit the chords that the piano player and guitar player are playing. So one is down the altered scale. Well, you don't have to freak. Oh, it's the altered scale. What's the altered scale? The good news is that the first 4 notes going down the altered scale are all whole steps. So if you were going to do it all on one string, you're going to do all on one string. It'd be 2 frets, 2 frets, 2 frets, and then you just go the half step to the D. So going A half diminished to D7 altered, I'm just going all whole steps, and I stop on the D7 altered. Cool? Now, if I want to go D7 altered to G minor, same thing, all whole steps. And notice what I get. I get the root, the flat 7, the sharp 5, the flat 5, all notes that are in the chord that the piano player is playing, and then G minor. But you don't have to think about that. Just go down whole steps and you got it, and it'll automatically fit. Pattern 2 is 1, flat 2, 3, flat 5. Now, the reason why I say correct third here is because if it's a half diminished chord, remember, half diminished means minor 7, flat 5. Minor chords have a flat 3. So that's why it's a C natural, because the third of an A major scale is C sharp. So flat 3 for half diminished chords, but a major third for dominant 7 altered chords. So 1, flat 2, 3, flat 5. Check it out. 1, flat 2, 3, flat 5. So I have 1, And why is the flat 2 so easy to find? Because it's always one fret above the root. So any chord that you want to have the flat 2 on, or flat 9, same thing, it's just a half step higher, one fret higher. So 1, flat 2. Now here's the major third of A, right? The C sharp, but you want a minor third. And then the flat 5. Here's the regular 5. Remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's the flat 5. The good news is that the flat 5 is just one fret above where you're going. So if you're going to D7 altered, the flat 5 of the previous chord is just leads right to it by half step, by one fret. So here you have, this would be lick 2. 1, flat 2, minor third, flat 5, root of D7 altered. A half diminished, D7 altered. Now D7 altered, root, flat 2, major third. Remember, major third, diagonal right across, that's the minor third. So 1, major third, because it's not minor, it's not half diminished, it's dominant 7, so you got to have a major third. And of course, the flat 5, you know where that is because it's a half step to where you're going. Where are you going? G minor. So you have A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor, which is a 2, 5, 1, 3 chords around the circle. Anytime you have 3 chords around the circle, it's likely to be a 2, 5, 1 in whatever that third chord is. So 2, 5, 1 in G minor, because what's the second note of a G scale? A. What's the fifth note of a G scale? D. What's the first note of a G scale? G. So A half diminished. Whoops. A half diminished. D7 altered. G minor. Now, lick 3, rather than whole half, 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 like it is to the regular chords, it's half whole, half, half. Half whole, half, half, so that you play the altered 9s. Look at D7 altered. If I went whole step, like here's the regular D7 to G minor using lick 3, whole, half, half, half. I don't want to do that because look, I'm on that regular 9, regular second. Remember, altered means no regular second. So rather than going whole, half, 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 I go half. That gets me my flat 9. Then I go my whole step. That gives me my sharp 9. There's the third of the chord, which leads me right to G minor. So A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor. And that's called a 2-5-1 in G minor. When you're in a major key, like we did C minor, F7, B flat, a 2 chord in a major key is minor, the 5 chord is dominant 7, the 1 chord is major. In a minor key, like I'm doing 2-5-1 in G minor, the 2 chord is half diminished, the 5 chord is dominant 7 altered, and the 1 chord is minor. So A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor. So, you know how to do this, you can walk a lot of stuff. Let's do all 9 combinations of A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor. 1 and 1, 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 1, 2 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 1, 3 and 2, 3 and 3. Now, remember that we're playing A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor. 1 is down the altered scale. These are the altered cycle patterns. Down the altered scale, 1 flat 2, 3 flat 5. That's the second lick. 1 flat 2. Remember, flat 2 is easy to find. It's just 1 fret above the root. 3, got to play the correct third. Minor third for half diminished. Major third for dominant 7 altered. And lick 3 is just half whole, half half. So here's 1 and 1. Down the scale, down the scale. A half diminished. D7 altered, G minor. 1 and 2. A half diminished. 1, flat 2, 3, flat 5, G minor. Notice I put in the tritone skip, which sounds great on lick 2. Here's 1 and 2 again. A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor. 1 and 3. A half diminished, D7 altered, half, whole, half, G minor. 2 and 1. A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor. 2 and 2. A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor. 2 and 3. A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor. 3 and 1. A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor. 3 and 2. A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor. And 3 and 3. A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor. Now you can play 2 5-1s in major, 2 5-1s in minor. That's you see that in so many tunes, so many jazz tunes, standards, jazz classics. Now I want to share the screen again and show you what we just did. There's lick 2, 1 flat 2 3 flat 5. Here's altered cycle lick 3, half whole half half. Notice you get the root, the flat 9, the sharp 9, the third, and the root. Your altered cycle exercises, here are your 9 combinations. We did 1 key just now. Do 1 key a day for the next 12 days. Or 1 key every 2 days for the next 24 days. Either way, you're going to have it in less than a month. Now, I want to talk about 2 more things. How you walk a tritone. A tritone. Remember what a tritone is? It's a flat 5. So, E flat, a fifth up from E flat would be B flat. So a tritone would be to A, because a tritone is a flat 5. And notice it's always diagonal. So no matter which way you go, going diagonal, they're all tritones. Notice E flat A, E flat A, E flat A, E flat A, E flat A. So when you walk a tritone, like going from E flat to A half diminished, you can just go down the scale, E flat, A half diminished, just down the regular E flat major scale, but just after you play 4 notes, land right on A. And if you can go down the scale, you can also go up the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, just 4 notes of an E flat major scale, and land on A. Everybody cool? All right. 12 keys. 12 keys, and here's some different qualities. So C major, when you're going up the scale, it's not going to, they're all going to be the same, because the 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the same for C and C7. But going down the scale, notice going down the scale from C to F sharp, major 7th, right? Because it's C major 7th, and then F sharp. But here, look down here, here's a C7th chord. I got to use the flat 7 to land on that F sharp. So you always have to be cognizant whether it's a major 7th or a flat 7. Okay, one more thing. Unison or an octave. That means the chord root doesn't change. The chord quality might change, like G minor to G7 altered. Here's G minor to G7 altered. But the root stays the same. G minor, G7 altered. So if the root stays the same, just go up the arpeggio. Remember, we did that very first thing today. Just go up the arpeggio or down the arpeggio. So here's down the arpeggio. root, flat, it's a G minor chord, so root, flat 7, 5th, minor 3rd, root. And on this handout, which you'll be able to download, everything that is in parentheses, that's fingering. That's fingering. So 3rd finger, 1st finger, 3rd, 4th finger, 1st finger. And going up, the same thing. G minor, G7 altered. And here's some exercises, all keys. 1 key a day for the next 12 days. Arpeggios, these are easy because we did this the very first thing. C7th, C minor, then F, F7th, F minor. Notice they're all around the circle. Now, once you can do all that, let's put them to a tune. Here's the first 8 measures of Autumn Leaves. C minor, F7. First of all, C, F, B flat, E flat. Just by saying it that fast, C, F, B flat, E flat, that's around the circle, right? C, F, B flat, E flat. So that's just cycle licks. So we know we have 27 combinations to go C minor, F7, B flat, E flat. Then E flat to A is how far, remember? How far? E flat to A, tritone. So what can we do? Either up the scale or down the scale. Then A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor. Those are altered cycle licks, and they go around the cycle. A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor. And then G to G7, root stays the same, so you just do an arpeggio. And then G7 altered, we see the repeat marks here to go back to C minor. You got 3 altered cycle licks. Let me show you all 3. Down the altered scale, it's number 1. 1 flat 2 3 flat 5 is lick 2. 1 flat 2 3 flat 5 C minor, and lick 3. Here's lick 2 up an octave. You can do it both places. And lick 3 is half whole, half because it's altered. And you can do that up an octave too. G7 altered, C minor. Let me do all 3 of those for you one more time. G7 altered to C minor, altered cycle lick 1, going down the altered scale, all whole steps. Until you get to the end, of course, then it's a half step. So G7 altered, C minor. And notice what you get, root, flat 7, sharp 5, flat 5, C minor. Lick number 2, 1, flat 2, 3, flat 5, C minor. 1, flat 2, major 3rd because it's not minor. Flat 5, half step to where you're going, C minor. Do it both octaves. And the easy one, lick 3. Your fingers just go right in order. Half, whole, half, half. G7 altered, half, whole, half. So the next step is to play. Let's play the first 8 bars of Autumn Leaves. Here's the first 8 bars of Autumn Leaves right here. I'm going to put on the play along. This is from volume 54 of Jamie Aebersold. The name of the album is called Maiden Voyage, volume 54. You ordered at jazzbooks.com. They send you an MP3. And what I suggest is you get the app, Amazing Slowdowner. Get the app, the Amazing Slowdowner. You put it on the app, and then you can turn off the piano side. It's piano, bass, and drums, but you slide it all the way to the right, so it's just piano and drums. If you slide it all the way to the left, it's bass and drums. That's great for piano players to practice with. And you can play it in any tempo. So I'm going to just show you, here's Autumn Leaves at the original tempo with piano, bass, and drums on.
3, 4, 1, 2.
Now, I'm going to have just piano. Now, that's 100%. I'm going to slow it down. How about I slow it down to say 67%? That's 2/3 tempo. And I'm going to walk a bass line, and I'm going to do nothing more than what I showed you today. Nothing more than what I showed you today. Just the 3 cycle licks, the 3 altered cycle licks, the regular major scale for the tritone, and the arpeggio for the octave. So cycle lick, cycle lick, cycle lick, tritone, so that's up or down the scale, up or down an E flat major scale, altered cycle lick, and then G minor to G7, up or down the arpeggio, because I'm going from G to G, and then altered cycle lick to go back to C. Remember, cycle licks are whenever they go around the circle, like C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, C. See how it works? Okay. And I'm going to say, the first time through, I'm going to say the chords as I play. The second 8 measures, I'll say what I'm playing.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
C minor, F7, B flat, E flat, A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor, G7 altered. Now I'm going to say what I'm doing. Lick 3, lick 2, 2 again, down the scale for the tritone, lick 3, that's altered lick 3, altered lick 1, down the arpeggio for the octave. Okay, I'm going to speed it up now a little bit. I'll speed it up to 75%, and now that you know the chords, I'll just say what I'm playing. So 75% tempo, a little faster than it was.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
Down the scale, lick 1. Lick 1 again. Lick 2. Up the scale for the tritone. Lick 2. Altered lick 2. Altered lick 1. Down the arpeggio. Altered cycle lick 3. Cycle lick 3 again. 3 again. Why not 3 again? Down the scale for the tritone. How about lick 3 again? That's altered lick 3. And altered lick 3 again. And down the arpeggio for the octave. Got the idea? Now, I'm going to play for you Autumn Leaves in its entirety. On the sheet, we'll do a 12-bar blues, and if we have a chance to do this again, I'm going to do the same kind of thing on how to walk a blues, because that's so important. A regular blues, a 12-bar bebop blues in B flat, and a 12-bar bebop blues in F. Those are the 2 most common keys. But right now, here's Autumn Leaves. I'm going to walk, and I'm going to play nothing more than what I showed you. And when I get to these 2-beat chords, like down here, I'm just going to play root, third, root, third, root, third, root, third, root. I'll play root third or root flat 5. Remember, the flat 5's easy because it's a half step to where you're going. G minor, half step to C7, half step to F, half step to B flat 7, half step to E flat. And I'll put it at regular tempo. Now, when you do it on your amazing slow downer, and by the way, I think it costs $9.95, but it's worth it. You can download the free one, but it stops after a minute. And by the way, you can put any records on this. So when you want to transcribe something and slow it down, doesn't change the pitch. You can change the pitch. You can change the tempo. I use this every day, and my students who use this learn 3 to 5 times faster. 3 to 5 times faster than the ones who don't. Okay. Autumn Leaves.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
C minor. F7. B flat, E flat, A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor, G7 altered, C minor, F7, B flat, E flat, A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor, G minor, A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor, G minor, C minor, F7, B flat, E flat, A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor, C7, F minor, B flat 7, E flat, A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor, G7 altered. Lick 3, 2, 2 again, 1, down the scale for the tritone, 3, 1, arpeggio, altered lick 1, 3, 2, 2 again, scale for the tritone, 2, 1, G minor, arpeggio, A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor, arpeggio, lick 3, lick 1, lick 1 again, pop up the octave, E flat, pop up the octave, A half diminished, D7 altered, and root, third, root, third, root, third, root, A half diminished, D7 altered, G minor, G7 altered, and top. Okay, now, that you can't do in one day, but you got to get it slowly. Amazing slow downer, 50% tempo, 60%, 70%, working it out. And then the other great thing about this, you can do it in all different keys. With the Amazing Slow Downer, you can do it in all keys. So here's the assignment. The first 8 bars of Autumn Leaves, 1 key a week for the next 12 weeks. Now, the keys are going to be getting harder, but it's going to seem easier because you're going to be getting better faster than the keys are getting harder. So that's the idea.